And our guest, Steve Eimers, is in Tennessee. So if you're on the East Coast, it's good afternoon. I want to welcome you guys to the first episode of the Exit 261 podcast. We're streaming live on YouTube as well as X. My guest today, many of you may already know, is Steve Eimers. Steve Eimers is known as the Guardrail Guy. Steve and I have something in common in that we both lost daughters in guardrail accidents. We'll talk a little bit about those accidents today, as well as our daughters. But we want to talk mostly about Steve's advocacy and my advocacy that's just getting started. And I'm learning a lot from Mr. Eimers. So, Steve, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Stuart.
All right. So, as I said, Steve is a father. He lost his daughter, Hannah, in a guardrail crash. He's also a safety advocate. He probably knows more about guardrails than the folks that are installing them for sure, and maybe even the folks that are manufacturing them. And he's also a whistleblower. And so since his daughter's accident, he has been very active in regards to guardrail safety. And that is how I came to meet him. And so my daughter, Jada, was killed in a guardrail crash in January of 2003. I will show you a photo of Jada here. Jada was 23 at the time of her accident, and she had just moved to Tampa, Florida, and she was completing the first year of her doctorate degree in physical therapy when she had her accident. She was also a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, where she ran track and field. And Jada was killed when her car went off the road. We don't really know why it went off the road, but it went off the road and it hit a guardrail that had already been damaged. It was actually damaged 2 weeks prior to her accident. The Florida Highway Patrol knew it was damaged. Their contractor knew it was damaged. And the contractor, according to its contract, had 5 days to repair the guardrail. Well, they didn't get that done in time, and they requested an extension. And when they requested the extension from FDOT, which was approved, they promised to put a truck-mounted attenuator, also known as a crash cushion. It's basically a truck with 2 crash cushions on the back of it. They promised to put that in front of the guardrail until the repairs was complete. And they were supposed to have it done on January the 6th of 2003, and Jada's crash occurred on January 5th. And somebody, for whatever reason, had moved the truck-mounted attenuator. So in the aftermath of her accident, my wife and I were looking for answers. What happened? Why did this happen? And I ended up researching guardrail incidents. And I find a guardrail accident that had happened in San Diego, California. A gentleman by the name of Martinez had crashed into a guardrail. And in that story, when I found it, they mentioned a gentleman by the name of Steve Eimers. And so I said, I have to find this guy. And so I went on a mission to find him, and it was probably the best decision I made, was to reach out to him to learn more about these guardrails. And so that's how we end up here. So Steve, what I want to do is turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself, your family, and talk to us about Hannah as well.
All right. Well, my name's Steve Eimers. I live in East Tennessee. I have 10 children. Hannah was our oldest. And you see the picture here. There's my wife. We had three daughters. Adopted three boys from Ukraine. And then adopted two children out of opioid ad. Stuart, I'm getting a ton of feed. Let me see if I can do this without the headphones.
Yeah,
How's that sound? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm getting feedback though.
All right. Let me see if I can plug back in. How's that?
That's better.
Okay, that's better for me too. So Hannah was our oldest. Three biological children. Adopt three boys from Ukraine. Have a baby. Adopt two out of the opioid. And then we thought we were done. And we agreed just before Hannah's crash to adopt a baby. So we're going to have 10 kids. And it was the 1st of November 2016. And we lose our daughter. She's speared by a guard. And 4 months later, we adopt her younger boy. So that's how we got to 10 kids. How I learned about Guardrail, how I became the Guardrail Guy, is that I had questions just like you. And I went to a state representative, and I learned there had been other similar crashes involving the same device that was involved in Hannah's crash. I learned it had been banned before her crash. And from there, let me just I'm still getting a ton of feedback. So, sorry. So I asked a bunch of questions, and I kept getting people like yourself coming to me and saying, "Hey, how'd this happen?" Eventually, I went out on the field, measured the devices in Hannah's crash, and found changes. I retained legal counsel, and I am a FCA fraud relator in the state of Canada and in Tennessee. And our goal is to get taxpayers' dollars back.
All right.
How's that feedback to you?
No, I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And I know it's kind of emotional for you. You ride this roller coaster of emotions far more frequently than I do, because you've got a lot of people reaching out to you. And so I know you've done a lot of good for people. You've certainly done a lot of good for me. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about, I've talked about Jada's crash. What are you comfortable sharing about Hannah's crash and how you found out about Hannah's crash? And the reason I asked that question is we were never my wife and I were never notified by FDOT or any law enforcement agency during Jada's crash. We were notified by one of our other daughters who just happened to be in Tampa. She's a basketball coach, and her team was in town playing University of South Florida. And so they notified my daughter, but they never notified us. So how did you guys get notified?
So a friend reached out and said there had been a crash. And I was in camo, about to go out in the woods for a deer hunt, and was going to go to work. Instead, started driving towards the interstate, not knowing should we turn left to go towards the crash or turn towards the trauma center. And I called dispatch. I worked the EMS. They're not going to tell you, hey, they're gone. So I said, was there a helicopter dispatch to the scene? They said, no. I said, are there going to be any transports? They said, no. At that point, I knew my daughter was dead. But a Tennessee DOT, or Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper came to the house, knocked on the door. We weren't there, notified my mother-in-law that Hannah was gone.
Okay.
As far as details, one of the things that's very frustrating is that people try to shield you from the ugliness of what happened. My daughter's dead. When you do that, it's very disrespectful. You don't get to choose. I will decide what I want to know.
You know, I definitely agree with that. And in our situation, you know, we were in California. Our daughter was in Florida. And the other daughter that was there, the team was traveling. And so they actually met my daughter at the airport and notified her right before she got on a plane to go back to Philadelphia. She coaches at Temple University. And so as I look back on it now, the one mistake we made is we should have went to Florida to go to the crash site, to talk to the investigators. We were getting information by phone, and I'll share this with you, and I'll share this for other parents who may be going through the same thing. We originally thought that our daughter crashed on an embankment. We didn't learn that she hit a guardrail until 3 months after the accident, when the full traffic report was released. And so in our mind, we were planning a normal funeral. Ship our daughter home. We're going to have a normal funeral. And the morning after I woke up, and something told me to call the medical examiner and ask about her injuries. And so I called the medical examiner, and she told me, no, this is going to have to be a closed casket. And of course, that didn't sit well with me or my wife. My wife was extremely upset. And so a friend of the family said to us, well, you know, these funeral directors nowadays, they can really do good work and really make them look normal. And so I called the funeral director in Florida. We had him turned over to a local funeral home there. And I called her for a second opinion. And I'll never forget, I asked that lady, and she broke down crying. She said, "You would not want to hear what I would tell you." And it kept, still it didn't drive home that there was a guardrail involved and it came through the car. But they kept asking me over and over to identify Jada's tattoos, this and that. And I couldn't figure out why they were asking me over and over for what's her tattoo? What does it say? Where is it located? And so 3 months later, when we got the traffic report and I saw that the roof had been ripped off the car, I was like, well, how did the roof get off the car? She crashed on an embankment. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole that I know you are very, very familiar with. And I've heard you say frequently, you haven't come out of that rabbit hole yet.
That's right. That's right. Looking at Hannah's injuries are very similar. They said you could hold her right hand. And that's really, when I saw that young girl who was with her, when I saw Rochelle sitting in my living room looking like you or me today, and they said I could hold Hannah's right hand, but everything else was pretty much gone.
Wow.
I really was just like, what caused injuries of this level? What can explain this discrepancy between my daughter looking like that, or what your daughter looked like, and the girl there unscathed? And it wasn't, and everyone was working to shield me from the fact that a guardrail had gone through my daughter. No, knowing the level of trauma to my beautiful daughter and your beautiful daughter, that's alarming. But the overwhelming problem was that my daughter was dead. That she was mutilated was worse. But the dead part was what mattered, and people were just so desperate to shield us from the truth.
Right.
There's no way around this. But Hannah was on her way to school. She simply went off the left side of the road. I'm sober, not texting, and hit that guardrail, and she walked out of our life, and we never saw her again. So that's to me, and I think I would imagine for you, it's like losing somebody to the sea. You know they're gone. You know conceptually they are gone. But you still have this irrational portion in the back of your head saying, maybe it's not true. Because you just couldn't see the child that you see there on the screen. You just never saw him again.
Yeah. Jada had just left home for Christmas. And it never occurred to me that would be the last time I see her. And within a week, she was gone. And so for other parents that might be going through this, and I know you know quite a few of them. And the other thing I think I want to make sure we get across to people in general and drivers, and especially young drivers, because it seems like this happens more often than not to young drivers that have a bright future, that are going to contribute a lot to the world. Hannah was 17.
Oh, yeah.
Isabella Alonso was 18. Of the ones I'm familiar with, Jada was the oldest at 23. And Jada and Hannah were the same age. They were born, and Hannah was born in 99, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so they were the same age. And so that's two people from that generation, from that year, gone to guardrails. And I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm actually working on, a new video is trying to, so like in our daughter's cases, the guardrail screwed through the vehicle and their injuries were not compatible with life. But one of the things that I'm really wanting to push with younger drivers is that the things they could do to avoid the guardrail crash, don't drive while you're exhausted, make sure that you're sober, and that includes the devil's lettuce. An awful lot of people, one of the sad things that I'm seeing is there's a number of crashes where people say, well, I had a pot card. And go show that to the coroner, and you don't wake up. Still. Buckle up. My daughter was buckled. I believe Jada was buckled. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Right.
I encourage people to stay off your phone. Again, not relevant to either one of these crashes. Those are things you can do to avoid the guardrail crash. Make sure your tires are not balding. I've seen a few hydroplane incidents. I try to encourage parents, like the horrific crash yesterday down in Palm Beach County, I-95 in Florida. Very minor guardrail crash. 16-year-old girl gets out of the vehicle, checks the damage. She's sitting on the interstate. And she gets killed in a secondary collision. Stay in your car, stay buckled up, or get off the roadway. And then I was just in D.C. with a young man, Jet Weinstein. Lost his leg, nearly bled out, but for a convoy of soldiers with the United States Army, they stopped, put a tourniquet on his leg. So I encourage people, hey, keep a tourniquet in your glove box. But with these guardrail crashes, there's not. Once that guardrail enters the vehicle, if it hits you, you're going to probably die.
Right.
I kind of encourage folks to act proactively. Be a good citizen. Go out there, and if you see a damaged guardrail like myself or like Stuart does, you don't have to be as obsessed as we are, where we're reporting hundreds. But report one. It may be your own life that gets saved here.
Right.
So there's a few things like that. Another thing is engaging with your politicians. So, like you just threw up the photo from Hannah's crash, and you can see she was in a Volvo S80. Very safe car. But when that guardrail went through that vehicle, she was seatbelted. It ripped her from the seat, embedded her deeply in the back seat to the point where I could have made a jello mold of my daughter with how deeply she was embedded into the foam of the back seat. That's the power of a guardrail crash. The other thing is speed. But I know, like in Hannah's crash, she was only doing about 64 miles an hour. The posted speed limit was 70. Jada was doing about 62.5, I believe, 63.
63.5.
These should have been survivable crashes. They were survivable crashes because if you look, the girl beside him survived. And we can look at some other photos going to that point. I know we're going to take a look at some here in a minute. But in each one of these crashes that we can discuss in a few minutes, the bird crash, the driver was fine. Wilbert Bird was dead. Davison Patel, so this is the bird crash. This was actually captured on camera. And this was at the I-75, I-24 split just north of the Georgia border in Tennessee. Wilbert Bird was a Detroit school teacher. And had just lost his wife 2 weeks before, was traveling to Atlanta, Georgia. They went off the left side of the road, very confusing interchange here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's captured on a dash camera. They hit the guardrail, went through the vehicle, and Wilbert was killed. His son Malcolm was he was an older gentleman, but in a period of 2 weeks, lost both his parents. And I sometimes hear people say, well, I just duck out. You don't have the time to duck out of the way or move. You are here and you are gone.
Right.
But the guy in the driver's seat, fine. The guy in the passenger seat, dead.
Right. And this is important. I want to go back and because you reminded me to say this. In Jada's crash, the guardrail punctured through all of her airbags.
Oh yeah. Same with
and so it rendered her airbags useless. And similar to Hannah, and I didn't know this about Hannah's crash until you just said it. The guardrail went all the way through the back of the car. Jada had a gold chain around her neck. When we finally went to the car, that gold chain was setting in the little triangular. She was in a Volkswagen Jetta, and it has that little small triangular window. It was sitting in there. Let's look at this next crash and let you tell us about this one.
Okay, so this is in Cumberland County, Tennessee. This was the Davis Hotel crash. They were coming back from a concert, went off the left side of the road near Crossville, Tennessee. The guardrail, it went through the vehicle, hit Davison in the front seat. He was killed instantly. Lauren Butel was in the back seat. There was a passenger in the passenger front seat who was fine. Lauren was critically wounded. She died. Her mom, actually, it was her dad that I called first. And I said, John, my name's Steve Eimers. My daughter was speared in a guardrail crash. And he said, my daughter was speared in a guardrail crash too, and it wasn't one of those Trinity ones. And I realized we may have a problem here. The first person I met in person that had lost somebody else to a guardrail spearing crash was Lauren Butel's mom. And she told a story. Lauren survived the initial impact and then died at the hospital. But hearing her talk about that body bag, the zipper, and how describing the sound of that zipper was haunting beyond anything. I still remember. I can hear that sound in my head of that zipper just going and sealing up her dead daughter, who had been at ETSU, pursuing her, I think it was her PhD or master's. And again, another very promising young woman who was sold just by a guardrail.
Right. So let's go back. You talked about drinking, drugs, texting, all of these things that we have been conditioned to assume people are doing when they're involved in these accidents. And so I know you get this on your social media posts. People will say, well, just don't hit the guardrail and you'll survive 100%. Or, don't drive so fast or keep your car on the road.
Yeah, so in Hannah's case, she was completely sober and headed to school, but it's not relevant.
Exactly.
Guardrail either works or it doesn't. And you can say, hey, they committed acts which shouldn't have been done. Do you know what we do? We arrest them.
Right.
Sometimes we send them to jail. We don't execute them. We don't summarily execute them with a guardrail.
Right.
I don't believe that the guillotine was ever legal in the United States at any point in time. Now, they used it during the French Revolution, a particularly bloody era. But we don't summarily execute people with guardrails. We arrest them. We give them a trial. And so there's a recent crash involved the quarterback at the University of Colorado, Dominic Ponder. He was reportedly under the influence of alcohol and driving very fast. For that, Dominic paid a very steep price with his life. But the guardrail that was there was unbolted. It was misinstalled. It was damaged. You can treat those two situations as unique to each other. Dominic should not have been driving under the influence. I've talked with his mom, and she's extraordinarily thankful that he didn't harm somebody else. At the same time, that guardrail should have been installed properly.
And that's the whole point. Regardless of why somebody goes into a guardrail, that guardrail should be reasonably expected to be properly installed and operational to perform its function. And
absolutely. This is absurd. It's nothing more than fraud. We have this focus with Doge on government efficiency and against fraud. When we spend taxpayer dollars on systems that are not installed properly or that have been fraudulently tested or changed from as-tested conditions, that's fraud. And even though maybe a third of the people that die in guardrail crashes have some level of intoxication or driving under the influence, we don't know who's going to hit these.
Right.
And regardless, these are two separate things. We should expect when we spend billions with a B on guardrails, when we spend those taxpayer dollars, we should get what we paid for. When we don't, when you falsely certify that you did it this way and you didn't do it that way, you should be held accountable. Whatever role Jada played in her death, whatever role Hannah played in her death, they paid a really steep price. Those that also played a role in this deserve to be held accountable too. And that includes state DOTs and the legislative leaders that are funding and responsible for how this is implemented.
Yeah. In Jada's crash, and I said this earlier, they knew it was a problem, and they knew they had an obligation to fix it. And so when we did the public records request and got all the photos and the record of all the previous accidents, that's how we found out there was an accident 2 weeks before. We did a public records request. And they knew they had an obligation to put some sort of safety equipment in front of it. And for whatever reason, they moved it.
Yeah,
and
look
then
at Jada's crash. The photos where you see the truck-mounted attenuator part there. You see the communications. I've seen the communications. I've seen the photo there. And then it's moved.
Right. And then they get their heroin fired.
In her case, they knew this was dangerous. They moved the truck. And she hit it under perfect testing conditions. I've never seen a crash that aligns closer to as-tested conditions as Jada's crash. And instead of walking away or maybe even getting arrested, getting a ticket, getting whatever, she's dead.
Right.
Because
and the gentleman that crashed before her survived. We have pictures that the gentleman that crashed 2 weeks before her survived. We have pictures of him standing next to his car. And so, but explain how the testing, how that works. Because, one of the things I shared in a video the other day is the speed limit is 70, in most cases 75. And in a few states, I think they have it at 80. But we don't test guardrails at that speed. Say that again?
Texas has 85? No. So anyways, going to the testing, guardrail is, there's 6 levels of testing, with W being guardrail, is tested under threes. There's test level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 involves great big giant tankers and typically very heavy concrete barriers. But test level 1, 2, and 3 are applicable to WB routes and end terminals. But the highest speed, test level 3, is 62.5 miles per hour, or 100 kilometers per hour. They love to focus on that 100 kph, and I believe that's intentionally deceptive so that people will create the illusion in their own mind that these are being tested at 100 miles an hour. Because we are a nation that uses 100 miles per hour, not kph, not kilometers per hour. But they're only tested to 62.5 miles per hour. In the state of Tennessee, there are probably over 100,000 guardrail ends. Some of them are untreated, some of them have end terminals. But total, there's about six right now that have been tested above 62 miles an hour. Where Hannah crashed, the speed limit was 70. In the state of Florida, there's 0. California, where you are, there's 0. In Ohio, where you frequently visit for business, there's 3. 3 in the entire state that has maybe 100,000 entries. And so one of the big issues is that we desperately need to align the guardrails with real world physics. It's just math and science. We have a 62 mile an hour crash test, and then we install it 70, 75, 80, 85. This is absurd.
Right.
And we're shocked to death.
Right.
And so going back to that testing, one of the things some of the victories that we've seen is for St. Federal Highway. They used to waive almost all the crash tests. My daughter had a device installed at 31 inches. They waived 7 of the 7 applicable crash tests. The crash test lab in this situation, and in many of these situations, was actually the company testing their own products. So we've been able to deal with that with federal law because nobody should be self-certifying. We always see what happens with that. You get faulty drugs to market, you get airplanes that crash like the Boeing 737 MAX, and you get guardrails that kill people. So we've made progress by requiring now you have to run all the tests. There's 7 tests. You have to run them all. You can't self-certify. Now we need to align crash testing with real world physics. We need to have these systems tested at 75 miles an hour. It's just math and science. It's just kinetic energy. Kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times the velocity squared. And there's nothing special about it. We need to test that way.
Right. Now, I want you, while we're on that point, I want you to talk a little bit about, my Jada was killed by a guardrail that was damaged. Hannah's guardrail was Frankenstein, correct?
Well, in Hannah's case, what we had was a number of issues in play. And so I've got to be a little bit careful here because I don't want to violate any agreements that I have. But I am a whistleblower. And I can speak to issues related to the whistleblower action. And so I'm going to answer your question from Steve, the whistleblower's perspective. And I'm going to talk about the Eimers crash. So in the Eimers crash, we see a device that was certified to the Federal Highway Administration of Tennessee as complying with the federal aid, with the crash testing, with the NCHRP 350 device that was reported to Federal Highway. I saw material changes in the first and third post, in the slider assembly. And those devices were not crash tested. And so we saw material changes. We also saw, and this is related to one of those two of those material changes, actually multiple material changes, is that the first and third posts were interchanged in Hannah's crash. Third post was where the first post should be. First post was where the third post should be. It's a known installation defect that can be traced to a secret material change that was not tested, not disclosed. And the company had been saying, hey, we've got universal posts. You have universal posts. Well, they're no longer universal, but they didn't tell anyone. And they were color-coded, but they switched to black and white instructions. And so as Steve the whistleblower, I see things that were falsely certified in Hannah's crash and parts that were mismatched, or what you call Frankenstein, which is basically we mix parts up, kind of like Dr. Frankenstein. You create a monster. And so, in addition, there was downstream damage that was brought up at some point, but I don't know that had any kind of impact at all in the Eimers crash. But it leaves that family with another what if. What if it wasn't damaged? What if it was properly installed? What if it had been ethically crash tested? And we didn't see that.
Right.
And so that's the difficult thing is the fraud element. And as a whistleblower, seeing this happen over and over.
Right. And the normal driver, you drive down the street and you see a guardrail and it looks like it's the way it's supposed to be. You don't know.
So I've talked to my wife quite a bit about this. Jada's guardrail looks just fine to 99.99% of the people out there. What they see is a fence on the side of the road. They don't understand that these devices are highly engineered, crash tested, and they have to be installed exactly as designed. They don't understand that a bolt in the wrong place or mixing a guardrail from another part. I was talking to you the other day. You're a Marine. 5.56 ammo. Put a 308 in there and see what happens.
Or 7.62.
Or exactly. Interchange those.
Right.
And see what happens. You're going to blow outside of that firearm, and it's going to cause you some serious pain.
Right.
You can't. It's the same thing. Square peg, round hole. Very high kinetic energy, and bad things happen.
So let me ask you about obsolete guardrails, because that's another issue in Jada's crash. Not that the guardrail itself was obsolete, but the practice of leaving blunt end guardrails, which is what she hit, it was partially repaired and it left two blunt ends. So talk to us about guardrails that are obsolete and have been for decades, but are still on the highways.
So blunt ends at this point, we're going on about 100 years of research that says these are dangerous. A century. I mean, who was president? Was it Hoover? I mean, this is really old stuff.
Right.
And so we have turned down guardrails. We have Hannah had an NCHRP report 350 device. These are old systems. And you cannot just set them, forget them, and never bring them back up to date.
Right.
So gosh. The the Ponder crash involved 230 era devices.
Right.
I'm 50. I think that was approved when I was in kindergarten.
Wow.
And a blunt end, like what Jada had, of guidance dating to the early 60s, wasn't even around.
Right.
I don't even know if my parents were dating.
Right. And here's what's crazy. A couple of days ago, I had a meeting in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way to that meeting, I saw a turned down guardrail leading into downtown San Diego.
Yep.
So if you can find that in downtown San Diego, what are you going to find on rural roads?
Stuart, let me share a couple of stories. Washington, D.C. I just got back there. Outside the Rayburn House office building, there was a rail that was over I-395. It was unbolted for years. Took me getting a 2 million view video. In 2 years, outside the Rayburn House office building, the presidents, multiple presidents have gone under it, senators, congressmen, and it's unbolted. I go down Constitution Avenue from the White House. I just did this. Get to the very first guardrail, sneak through a homeless camp. Get through the homeless camp, get onto I-66, and there's a Frankenstein guardrail that's been there since the Clinton administration. I'm in D.C., I'm making a video. There's a crash cushion that should have been like what was in Jada's crash. The White House is in the background.
Wow.
And the President of the United States is hosting the King of England while I'm making my video. And that crash cushion isn't bolted to the ground. With the King of England and the President of the United States less than a mile away.
Right.
Less than 1,000 to 2,000 feet away. There's a famous bridge. It's a CSX overpass on the 495 loop. It's called the Surrender Dorothy Bridge. It's near the D.C. And the graffiti artists, they'll tag it. But the bridge, the guardrail going into the bridge is unbolted. We don't need to go to rural America to find these problems. We can go to the White House. We can go to the United States Capitol. And if we don't take that seriously, we're not going to take it seriously anywhere.
Rural America has no chance.
We have no chance. I mean, another one. You see the Emmy Award behind me. We shot Frankenstein guardrails on the off-ramp to Andrews Air Force Base. The Vice President of the United States had passed by that guardrail days before we shot that video.
Well,
Rural America does not stand a chance.
Don't stand a chance. I was just on Camp Pendleton, as you know, and I've documented 6 or 7 guardrails just on the very small section of Camp Pendleton I was driving to. And
Mike Carter Jr., Tyler Gurgler. Tyler was going to the Marine base. He had enlisted. He hadn't yet gone to boot camp. He's speared by a guardrail. His injuries are similar to, we've talked about this, to what you'd see in an IED. PFC Michael Carter Jr. buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Next to people killed by IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was in uniform in the line of duty. His dress uniform is hanging, his coat is hanging over the door of his car. He was speared by a guardrail on American soil and killed. That we could potentially lose an American soldier or Marine or sailor on a base in the United States of America to a damaged guard in the same manner that we would expect injuries in Iraq or Afghanistan is patently absurd.
Yeah. There was a witness that called in Jada's crash, and he described the vehicle as exploding. That's how he described it in his 911 call. And when you look at the photos of the car, it actually looked like somebody dropped a bomb on it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. And I saw Jada's car, having worked EMS, driving up on an ambulance. I've not seen damage like this. But once I saw Jada's car, after all my years of advocacy and guardrail experience, it was not very unique, and that should have been unique.
Right.
But I have seen cars that were essentially the engine ripped out, the roof blown off, everything gone. And I've seen it over and over again. I have hundreds of crashes where vehicles have been spared. I have five American soldiers and the wife of one of them. It was in Kentucky. It's the original press photo. Pre-World War II. Blunt end goes right through the car. Somehow it missed them all, and they were all injured. Which goes back to these crashes being survivable.
Right.
For the guardrail hitting your body.
Right. Well, Steve, this is the first episode. Definitely not the last episode. I definitely want us to do this, you and I, on a regular basis. I'm going to try to get Christy and Mike DiFilippo to come on and talk about their son, Hunter. I'd like to get Mark and Kathy Alonso to come on and talk about Isabella, and then Miss Ponder.
In the last
Dominic
15
Ponder's
years, in the last 15 years, there have been 14,000 guardrail crashes involving a fatality.
Yeah.
You've got an awful lot of people that can come on here and share their stories.
Well, we're hoping to get as many that are willing to do so, to come on and share, the intent of this whole thing, the intent of the YouTube channel and the X and TikTok is really to create awareness. I'm almost 62 years old. I've been driving since I was 16. I've never hit a guardrail, but it never, ever occurred to me that if you hit a guardrail, it would come through the car and kill you. I never thought that was possible until it happened.
Until it happened to me.
Until it happened to me.
And our goal is to make sure it doesn't happen to you.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. And, sometime I'll be taking videos and, pulling over on the side of the interstate and taking a video of a guardrail is dangerous. I know that's dangerous. You know that's dangerous. But that's a calculated risk we take so that we can inform others that even if we can't prevent your crash, we can inform you about the hazards that are out there so that if it does happen to you, you can take the appropriate action that you need to take. Before I let you go, I do want you to talk about some of your other efforts. One of the things we did was we started scholarships in Jada's name at Prairie View and Gannon University, which are the schools she was attending. So I want you to talk about what you've done in the community to improve your community and Hannah's name as well.
So since Hannah's crash, one of the first things we did was probably 1,000 night lights for foster kids around the United States. Just using social media to share excuse me. This need. And so we got this organization, 1,000 night lights that could be given to a kid that's just been placed in a home. Who's afraid of the dark.
Bless you.
And they have a night light. we have given scholarships for adoptive families. Some of these were seed scholarships, some of them were larger, helping those families pay the costs. We had Hurricane Helene here in East Tennessee. One of the things, like Hannah had cash in her pocket. She had some change in her room. What do you do with your child's cash, their money? And so one day after Helene, I said I wanted to turn this $5 and change quarters. Went to the local Walmart, bought a case of water, did a video and said, my goal is to turn this into about $5,000 worth of supplies for the victims of Hurricane Helene. So we were able to provide a ton of water. We were able to provide diapers and formula and food and dog food and cat food. Help with excavation costs. And that ranges from people in Tennessee, North Carolina, and on the Cherokee Reservation. We've been able to... where Hannah's crash was, and if you follow me on YouTube or TikTok or X, you'll see the video. The one on TikTok has about 10, 11 million views. We've planted about 8,000 daffodil bulbs where she crashed. Maybe it's 10,000, I forget. I think it's 10,000. So at that location in the spring, it's very beautiful.
Right.
It's been beautified. And that's something that that's going to outlast me, it's going to outlast you, it's going to outlast my children. A century from now, the daffodil bulbs will be coming up this location. And so those are a handful of things that we've done to honor Hannah, honor her memory. But I mean, it makes it different. It doesn't make it better.
Right.
But it does
that's the reason why I asked, because,
good.
Part of, if you don't do something with the grief, it will eat you alive. And so,
Absolutely.
Almost immediately, we started the scholarship for Jada. It's endowed now at Prairie View. We're still working on getting the one at Gannon endowed. We got about maybe 10 more thousand to raise, something like that. And then my wife just started a foundation as well. And so you take that energy, at least for me, I take that grief and I turn it into energy to do something that not only honors Jada, but helps somebody else.
Yeah, so one of the things I've said is, I've had hundreds of people reach out. And when I tell anyone who's watching this who's saying, hey, that happened to my child, or that happened to my spouse, or somebody I care about, you can track Stuart or myself down.
Right.
You can reach out to us. But don't waste your grief.
Right.
Make this mean something.
Right.
And so, I think in your case and my case, people don't have to duplicate what we've done.
Correct.
But don't waste your grief.
Right. And do it in your own, do what mirrors your child.
Yeah.
And so, you and I've had other conversations where you share, the things you do reflects what Hannah's experiences were. Yeah. So, Steve, I want to thank you. I want you to come back again. I'm going to try to get some of the other families that we've encountered along the way. And if you are in touch with any that are interested in coming on, I'd love to have them. We need to get these stories out so that people understand that an accident might not be an accident. And so every guardrail crash, every automobile crash needs to be scrutinized because the accident reports don't always tell the whole story. And that was definitely the case with Jada's crash. The accident report did not tell the whole story. It actually did not mention the word guardrail at all.
Reading the report in Jada's crash and looking at the photos leads to an awful lot of questions, doesn't it?
Awful lot, yeah. And so that's what took me down this path. And because of that, I found you. And I'm glad that we connected, and hopefully we can keep doing some good work to create awareness and make change, which I know you're doing a lot of work to do.
Well, Stuart, thanks for having me, and thanks for being a friend.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate it. And we'll have you on again real soon.
All right,
so folks, thank you for watching the podcast. We're going to post it on YouTube, TikTok, as well as X as well. So if you're not following us or subscribing to us on those channels, just go to those channels and search Exit 261. The handle is a little bit different on each one of them. So just search Exit 261 and you should be able to find it on those platforms, and join us for our next live event, as well as visit our channels and pages and subscribe and follow as well.